Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Vowz. My name is LaFlower and I'll be flying solo for tonight. Mr. Bowie I'm so proud of him, guys. I gotta tell, I'm so proud of him. You guys, I can't wait to tell you a little bit about what he's working on right now. But let's jump right into it, right? Let me make sure that we are good on our social media, guys. Of course, if you are watching from Facebook, definitely we want to make sure that you are liking Stunner Radio and that you are that you are sharing the broadcast. So share tonight, guys. I'm going to be diving into some things that really have impacted me in this culture as, you know, as a wife, as a woman, trying to live up to the expectations that that a lot of us, deal with. So again, if you're watching from any of our social media, guys, definitely like and subscribe. If you're watching from YouTube, if you are watching from any of our podcast platforms, definitely leave us some comments, rate our show. We definitely want to hear from you guys. So again, let's jump into it. So guys, tonight's topic, I'm so excited. Because again, as a wife, as a mom, these are things that I really went through. But first, let me give a shout out to my boy, my boo, my baby, Mr. Marcus Bowie, guys. I'm flying solo tonight because he is working on the super project, guys. He was gonna register for like Toastmasters because he's trying to level up with his communication. He's trying to level up, and his, be more of an effective communicator, I should say. Sorry, guys, this one little hair is out of place and is working my nerves. Okay, here we go. And so so one of our family members, my sister, Deandra, she is an actress or an actor, and he had the opportunity to be an extra in a production that she was in last year. And while he was working on that project, guys, the director, the producer, she asked him to be a part of the next project that she was working on. So he went from just being an extra to actually getting a part in a major part in her next series. And so he accepted. And so I am so freaking proud of this guy because Marcus used to be so shy, guys. He used to, really play the background, but he has so much knowledge and he has such a big heart. And so I am just so happy that he is, expanding himself and leveling up in areas and fields that he never thought that he would. So instead of registering for Toastmasters and things, he decided like, hey, acting is going to give me almost everything that Toastmasters would, right? And so he decided to go that route. And so I'm so excited about that, that he is away doing that. So tonight they had a great photo shoot, guys. He was all in character. I'm loving it. I'm loving it, guys. And so again, tonight we're going to be, so definitely, my bad if you give Marcus some likes, guys. Put a comment below for him. Let him know that we definitely missed him tonight. And what are you doing to help level yourself up during this season? Because we got to constantly evolve. There's a book, I believe it's called Evolve or Die, but it's about business, right? But I think we can apply that to a lot of the things in our lives when it comes to just evolving. In relationships, on a personal level, there's so many different things that that we can do to help us level up. All right, let me just make sure we're good on one more social media platform, and then we're going to rock and roll. All right. Okay, so now I'm settled. Give me a sip really quick. Got my Hershey's mug. I love this mug, guys. This was given to me by a young lady who was on my team, because you guys know I'm still, I've been a leader in corporate America. And one year she got me a s'mores kit. It was such a thoughtful gift, right? So it came with graham crackers, with chocolate, it came with marshmallows, and then it came with the little Hershey's, two Hershey's mugs. So that's one of my favorite mugs. Even though I don't work there anymore, I still cherish that gift. All right, all right. So again, guys, tonight's topic is very near and dear to me. I know last week Marcus, was really focusing on the guys, and this week, on Beyond the Vowz, I really want to help some of the women out there who are already wives, or who already playing that wife role, and helping you overcome the expectations of the modern day wife. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's felt the pressure of the expectations of the modern day wife, right? We literally, sometimes I used to feel like I had to be like a freaking superwoman. Like I had to wear so many hats. I had to wear multiple capes, but still, sometimes I felt like I still did not live up to the expectations of, that were put before me, when it came to my marriage, when it came to my children, when it came to my career, even maintaining, meaningful relationships with other women. It was so hard because I felt like I was being pulled on in so many different directions. Anybody else felt like that? Am I the only one that's ever felt like super defeated sometimes because I couldn't live up, because it was just too much on my plate. The people say I got so much on my plate right now. Literally, I felt like my plate was like, as if picture somebody going to a buffet and they tell you can only get one plate. You can only get one plate. Like, you have access to the entire buffet, but you can only have one plate. Picture what that plate would look like. That plate would be stacked super high, stuff falling everywhere. That's how I felt. I felt so overwhelmed. I had so many things on my plate, trying to live up to the expectations of the modern day wife. Now, the thing about the modern day wife, what I realize is that the expectations of the old school wife really didn't fall off. They were still on the plate. Like I said, we just keep adding things onto the plate. For example, this is just for me, guys. I was still expected to maintain the load of the majority of the things that dealt with the household and the children. Even though I was out working, I was still expected to maintain the load of the household and the children. And that was rough. That was rough. I used to have a joke with the people in my office. I say, guys, I come to work to get a break. Literally, I would tell people I come to work so that I can get a break, right? I know I can't be the only one like that. And so, again, adding on the expectations of the modern day wife, along with holding on to the expectations of the old school wife. What do I say when I say old school wife? Again, that's literally making sure the kids are good head to toe, that dinner is cooked, breakfast is cooked, lunch is cooked when everybody's at home, but mainly during the week that dinner is cooked, that you actually know what's for dinner. I'm pretty sure most moms, one of the phrases that we tend to cringe at sometimes throughout the year is, what's for dinner? Because everybody wants to know what's for dinner. And everybody expects you as mom to know what's for dinner, whether it's 10 o'clock in the morning, whether it's lunchtime, whether you literally just got in your car after a hard day of work at the office. Everybody wants to know what's for dinner. Your husband's calling you, asking you, what's for dinner. And so that was one of the things that I truly see I get frustrated with. Now, don't get me wrong, I love cooking, I love experimenting in the kitchen, but sometimes I felt like it was just such an overwhelming expectation for me to not only work outside of the house, but also have to maintain the expectations of of the old school wife, of carrying the full burden of the house and the full burden of of the meals, the children, sometimes laundry. It was hard. It was super hard. And now when I say and add on the expectations of the modern day wife, that is, a lot of us now, we're entrepreneurs. Like, we got a side hustle. We want multiple streams of income. Our kids are even more busy than ever. And then we have to, also be a wife. We got to be there for our husband. We have to make sure that their needs are met. We have to make sure that we're listening, making sure that we're there for them, that we're this fountain of nurturing and support, and we should have the answers, right? And so for me, that was super hard, living up to these expectations. And then also managing a lifestyle where my income contributes to the lifestyle that we have. And so not only am I supposed to maintain everything within the house, but going outside of the house and working, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, because I was in leadership. Still am in leadership in certain areas, but it was super hard for me. And so some of the effects of trying to live up to the expectations of the modern day wife, guys, I was tired. I was tired mentally. I was tired physically. I was tired emotionally. And I felt like I held everything in. Anybody else like that? Did you ever feel like you literally hold everything in? Like, there's like no one will truly understand you but you. So you can't really vent unless you're venting to other women. And if you're like me, you may not have as many, or used to, you may not have as many women in your network that are close enough to you where you feel a safe enough zone to share that information. So that was truly an effect, because I felt like I was like I couldn't share. If I shared with younger people, they'd be like, well, you made that choice, or why do you feel like you have to do that? You have your own mind. You should be able to do what you want to do. Live your life. And then if I shared it with some people older than me, like my mom's generations, it's like, hey, get it together. Get it done. Right? But at the end of the day, guys, I was tired. And I felt stuck. I really felt so stuck trying to live up to these expectations of and then live up to the expectations of having, a house where nothing is out of order. I would just get so frustrated but I'm going to get to that. But yeah, that was another one of my frustrations. It's like every time I clean, it would get messed up, right? And so, and then it was all on me to kind of get everything back in order sometimes. Another thing, I felt stuck in the rat race. This is, again, we're talking about living up to or evaluating the expectations of the modern day wife, right? So I felt like I was stuck in the rat race because I knew that we had built up a lifestyle that needed my income. Even though I wanted to get out of the rat race, I couldn't, because if I did, my family would suffer because of, because we built up a lifestyle with multiple streams of income, and my stream of income played a part in that. So I felt stuck sometimes. Let's see, what else? Also, I felt resentment. Has anybody else felt resentment to their spouse? I literally found myself, I had resentment for my husband. And everything I'm sharing with you guys tonight, he already knows. We've talked about this, we're past this. I'm going to go over some tips and things that I use to help me get stop trying to live up to the expectations and create my own expectations, right? But yeah, I literally felt resentment. Let me tell you why. I felt resentment because, again, I used to, in my mind, I'd go to work to get a break from my wife and mother duties and just, just constantly being on at home. And when I walked in the door, and I think we touched on this a little bit last week, when I would walk in the door, it's like, mommy, 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 everybody wants something, right? But when my husband got home, he had the opportunity to really, I would block and tackle for him. He had the opportunity to really go in the room, close the door for hours, where I was out here managing the household, managing the evening duties of the household. And so, because I kept everything bottled in, which is definitely unhealthy, I began to feel resentment for my husband, for my spouse. And that's not good. That's not good at all. For you to feel resentment for your spouse, because you're supposed to be playing this team sport together. It's like we're supposed to be doing this marriage thing, this household thing. And again, this goes back to some of the old school expectations of a wife. So I'm having to not only take care of everything inside the house, but I just got home from work and I'm tired. I want a break. I want to be able to go and close myself off, for hours at a time and get myself together, enjoy my evening, work on some of the things that I want to work on. And so it was really hard. It was really hard. And so that resentment was major. And like I said, I felt stuck. I really felt stuck. But guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And then when I come back, we're going to talk about some of the things, some of the tools, the systems that I use to help get me out of trying to meet the expectations of this modern day wife. We'll be right back, guys.
Life is better when you are living on purpose, but many times we get stuck in the rat race and in the mundane task of our day-to-day lives, causing most to lose sight of their purpose. That's why certified life coach, inner healer, and business strategist LaFlower Bowie is here to help you get calibrated to your calling through proven systems, techniques, and resources. Order a copy of her book, Principles to Reposition, to assist you with your journey, or schedule a free clarity session to kickstart the journey. After these sessions, clients have stated they found clarity and opened their eyes to things they had long forgotten. So get social and follow LaFlower on all social media platforms at LaFlower Bowie. And don't forget to mention Stunner Radio sent you.
Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Beyond the Vowz. I'm one of our hosts, LaFlower Bowie. Hey Regina, thanks for tuning in with us tonight. So guys, tonight we're talking about living up to the expectations of this modern day wife and how it totally drained me. It drained me. But again, I got to give a shout out to my boy, to my boo, to my baby cakes, as I call him. Guys, Marcus is away, my co-host, working on an awesome acting project that he's been working on for the past few months. Tonight, they are actually doing, I believe, a photo shoot. So I can't wait to see the finished product and to share it with all of you guys. But guys, yeah, so I felt like I was going to lose it. I felt so unhappy, so drained, because I was constantly pouring out of my cup, constantly giving everything to everybody else. And if I could just keep it real, guys, it felt like nobody even cared. It felt like no one cared to check on me. It felt like nobody cared to ask if I needed help. It felt like legit, like nobody cared in every area of my life. And I'm not just saying this and because I have an XL family, because now that, I'm a coach and I work with other women, I realize that women go through these things, whether they have one child or 8 children, like we do. a lot of us get stuck in this funky area that really drains us and drags us down, and causes us to really feel defeated in certain ways when we are trying to live up to the expectations of this modern day life. Right now, of course, biblically, there's some things that we want to honor things biblically, right? We want to honor the fact that we want to live in order. Those are some things that we want to do. We want to make sure that we are respecting our husband. We want to make sure that we are being good to our children, that we are rearing our children in a good way, that we are raising awesome humans, right? Awesome little people that are going to be world changers in whatever area God wants them to be. So we want to make sure that we are doing those things. But one of the things that I realized is that I had to stop competing and comparing with other women, other wives, and other, just other people in my life. It's like I literally had to stop and put myself, really examine myself, my life, and how I wanted to run my household, how I wanted to do things. But first, that started with me being honest with myself. Thank you, Lisa. That started with me. Yeah, it definitely felt like I was last on the list, right? But I had to really pause and create my own list. I had to go like, look at here, God, we got to talk. Like, what's going, like, this is not living, right? This is like, you can have, I know I say like a lot, my sisters get on me a lot. I'm sorry if sorry guys, I just caught myself. Sorry, sisters. So, but I really had to have a conversation with me and God. And I said, you know what, this ain't it. I know this is not the lifestyle that you've called me to live. I know this is not the lifestyle that you've called me to live. I know it's being stuck in this rat race, being stuck in this will of complacency is not what you have ordained for my life and other women out there. It's not. It's not. So after me and God had to have this meeting, after I had to literally come to Jesus, I had to reevaluate some things in my life. And I realized one of the biggest things that I was doing was I was competing, and my expectations were mixed up in culture. We were mixed up in culture, because you guys know we're called to live in this world, but not of this world. But my expectations had become all tangled and mixed up with being what this world expects of me. Especially, and I didn't even talk about image, right? I didn't talk about how the weight of how I look, how I'm presenting myself, not just for my husband, but also how am I presenting myself to society, right? How, I've had children, so I don't want that to be an excuse as to why I let my body go, right? Because I see all these other mamas snapping back and no fupa and all of this. Shout out to Team Fupa. I'm not mad. Hey, it is what it is sometimes, right? But I really had to stop competing and comparing myself to the culture and to the expectations of this world, right? Because especially a lot of the culture that we get comes from social media. It comes from people not being transparent and being real. And I'm being totally real with you guys tonight, right? So I had to really just stop comparing myself to other women, stop comparing my household to other people's household. It's okay if a shoe, hey, Mr. Bowie. You gonna come on in?
Yeah.
Come on in. Let me scoot on over. We done went on break. It's okay.
We break early.
We did. I was telling everybody how proud I am of you.
Hey, what's going on, fams? How y'all doing, man? I had to race home, man, try to get here. Trying to be safe about it, but try to get here in time to make it here, be on this podcast with my wife. Thank you guys for joining.
Appreciate you.
Holding it down, babe. That's what's up.
Of course, I got you, boo. And so, but I was just talking about
Oh, I hear
how. But I was really, again, we were talking about the expectations of, the culture that we live in, and how that influences the expectations and the guidelines that we live by, trying to be this modern day wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I was just about to get into some of the things that I did to help me get out of that struggle. So again, one of the first things I did was I really stopped competing and comparing. And we talk about competing and comparing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
because dealing with social media is very easy to start subconsciously competing with other people, with other women, with other men, with other couples, with other houses, with all of this other stuff. And I just had to stop. I said, you know what, LaFlower, you are running your race.
Definitely.
That's it. You define the type of wife that you want to be, as long as it measures up to kingdom principles.
Mm-hmm.
As long as that's it. As long as I'm doing what God is asking me to do, nothing else matters, right? And so that was the first thing I did. I stopped. Second thing I did was I literally, this is so true, guys, I had to unfollow some people online. I had to unfollow some people online because I constantly found myself trying to compete and compare with them. Even, like I said, it would happen subconsciously, where I would see them. I'm like, oh, were they over there doing that with their kids? I need to do this. Knowing that my plate, remember that plate I talked about? My plate is already full, but I'm thinking, okay, I need to add some more onto my plate, right? Or my kids need to be over there. I need to do this. We're not traveling enough. I need to, it was so much stuff. And so I had to unfollow some people in order to protect my my guidelines and my expectations that I set for myself. So for you, have you ever had to unfollow anybody, or really adjust your lenses and what you were taking into your eye gates, just when it came to you?
Of course. I mean, we have a tendency to, especially when it comes to social media and different platforms, you start following certain people, looking at people, and it's like you starting to compare yourself to them. You kind of start feeling inadequate. You feel like you're not doing enough. You're not spending, you're not traveling enough, not spending money enough. You're not spending time with your kids. You're always trying, as I said, keep up with the Joneses. You're always looking over the fence, trying to see what somebody else is doing in their yard, while your yard is untended, grass is high, holes, stuff everywhere. So it's just like you really need to self-reflect, sit down, take a pause, and realize what you need to do for yourself and for your family. I mean, because a lot of what's going on social media and what you're looking at, of course, people are going to put their best foot forward.
Right.
And that's not their reality. Let's be honest. People are not living just 100% happy all the time. Of course, they want you to think that, but that's not how life works.
So true.
So we're always looking at their best foot and think like, dang, why am I not doing that? Why am I, but to be honest, some of those people aren't doing what they're saying they're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's why you really have to be focused about your world and what you need to do, and get grounded. And like you said, unfollow some people and get centered on what you need to do. And especially if you are a believer, what God wants you to do with your life.
I like that. So yeah, you gotta clear your lenses. You gotta adjust what you're looking at, and really focus on our thing that we say now is keep the main thing the main thing. That's it. Keep the main thing the main thing. And we know what our main thing is. He knows what his is individually. And I know what mine is as this modern day wife.
So I know you had brought up, and I don't mean to interrupt. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get caught up. You know what I'm saying? This modern wife, what is the classification or the description of a modern wife?
Well, how I kind of explained it was like the modern day wife is, let's just say you have a plate, okay? Mm-hmm. And so the foundation of the plate still contains the old school expectations of the wife.
So we're talking about like the household,
the house, the kids, cleaning, kind of grocery shopping, all of that. Mm-hmm. And then the modernness comes on with,
corporate America. She's working outside the household.
Right. She's out there working. She has business. Kids are even more busy because there's more opportunities out there and things. And so you have to, it's just constantly stacking up all of that. And it's hard. And I went through a spell where I was definitely unhappy with myself. And you told me to get some help, and I got offended. You need to figure this out. Figure out what's gonna make you happy, because you said I'm doing my part. But at the same time, and this is my next thing, guys, that I did, I started communicating more with my husband. I started being more transparent, and I stopped trying to sugarcoat things for him. And I really got real with him. I got real because at some point in our relationship, I lost my voice. I lost my voice. I thought that my silence was better. I thought my silence would be easier because, my husband don't want no quarrelsome wife. He's been telling me that scripture since before we even decided to get together.
I'll be in the corner of that attic quick.
He said, I'll be in the corner of the attic or on the rooftop. And so with him saying that, coupled with how I saw my mother maneuver, because she's a very quiet woman. She's amazing, but she's very quiet. And sometimes I felt like she didn't show me how to have a voice sometimes, as a wife. And so with him telling me that before we even got together, and watching my mother, those two things with the woman who said she would never be married in the first place, right? I lost my voice because I wanted to keep peace in my home. So I didn't share my feelings because I didn't want to add on to my husband's plate. Because even though I was making money, he made more money than me, and from his jobs. And so he was the breadwinner per se. But once I started opening up that line of communication, I realized, and he even told me, he was like, I wish you would have opened up your mouth sooner. And it wasn't about, there's a way that we as women, we can communicate with our men and not come. Hopefully you guys don't hear Riley. If you guys hear Riley is probably getting her diaper changed. So if you hear some crying, Riley's just probably unhappy at the moment. But guys, she's up there with someone, with her big sister. We're not negligent parents, guys. But there's a way for you to communicate with your spouse. And it wasn't about, my husband didn't have a problem with the message that I was bringing him. He just didn't want me to deliver it in a negative manner. For example, like I told you guys, he used to be able to come home and lock himself up for a couple hours with the door closed. I'm out there dealing with the kids, dinner, homework, the whole nine. So it's a difference if I would have been like, dang it, Marcus, I need some freaking help out here. Can you bring your butt out here and help me? Versus, babe, can I talk to you for a second? I'm really feeling overwhelmed. I really need a little bit of help after school. It's like I got a lot on my plate with work and coming straight home. You know how important it is to come home and be able to just digress from your day before you jump in with the kids. I need that too. So there's a big difference, right? And so that's one of the main things that I realized is communication. What you think about that?
I mean, that is so important. That is one of the underlying things that I say that all relationships are built on is communication. Communication is very key. You have to talk to your spouse. You have to express how you're feeling. One of the worst things you can do is to operate on a day-to-day basis thinking the other person knows what you're feeling and what you're going through. Right. They do not. So to help along with this thing, and what I'm finding out is a lot of people want to put their faith and their hope into their spouse to create this utopia of happiness for themselves. That is an incorrect way of looking at your spouse. Your spouse is not responsible for your happiness. I know that sounds weird, but they're not. Right. You are totally in control and responsible for your own happiness.
That's so true. That's so true.
They have enough to deal with on their own. They have their own problems or other issues. Just like I had my issues at work, I had stuff that's going on. And also too, fellas, and I'm talking to the guys also too, you have to understand that, not only you're the head, but you also have to be sensitive enough to understand what your wife is going through and to help her through that process. And when I saw, and we all know as men, we know when our wives are stressed out. Y'all gonna give us that look. Y'all be like, oh, leave me alone. Don't touch me. No, you think you about to get wet tonight? No, it's not happening. So, guys, I'm just saying for the fellas, it's just like, don't ignore the signs.
So,
your wife.
Don't want to cut you off, babe. Yes, but how did you feel? Sorry, but what made you make that switch to being able to be like, okay, let me hear Flower out? Because that was an obstacle for us to overcome. When I started to communicate, we had to, you're like, because you was like, well, just get some help. Mm-hmm. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, fix it. And it wasn't that I needed to get help to fix it. I needed us to do more teamwork. So what really caused you to really be like, okay, let me bring it down and let me really understand where she's coming from? Because
I want an absolute harmony and this to work like a team, like a unit. Mm-hmm. And a team can't work unless everybody's on the same page. We've dealt with times and periods where we were on two different pages, same book, but on two different pages, right, and nothing's going to accomplish. So as the head, as the man, you have to sit down and say, okay, look, what is the game plan? What is the actual formula for success in our family? And one of those formulas is we have to sit down with you, with your spouse, husband and wife, have to sit down and get a game plan together. Like, okay, so I see that you're overwhelmed with the kids. I see that you're cooking, that you're having to do this. What can I do to help alleviate the stress off of you, to give you the time? And I will say this, and I'm a big advocate of everybody needs time to themselves. Both partners need time. I think we got to get to a point where you can dedicate time. Like if, mommy has Friday night or daddy has Saturday night or whatever days y'all have, you have an hour or two where you give your other spouse a break, which allows them to clear their mind, to do what they need to do for themselves and all that. Everybody needs that time to detox and wind down. But you won't get to that point if you're not in conversation and conversing and working together. Mm-hmm. So it's just, for me, I saw breakdowns with the family, with the kids, with you, with our communication. We were both on the edge. Things were just not in unison. So you have to say, okay, hold on, time out. Right. Enough is enough. So we have to get this thing on one page, on one accord.
Exactly. So I like that. You're very, very right. Very true. Just want to touch back on one thing that you said, because I know for us, it was for me, I won't say for us, for me, it was hard to really understand the concept, even though I'm a spiritual person, even though I've been in church all my life, even though all those things. One Sunday we were at church and our pastor made it so clear. He was saying, you love your spouse, like you wives love your husband, but don't expect anything else in return. Don't expect him to fill you back up. Don't expect him to fill you back up with joy. Don't expect him to refill your well. You pour it out because you're supposed to, because you make that covenant with him, because you are his helpmate, because you're supposed to have his back like nobody else in the world. You are supposed to be his ride or die chick, right? But do it without expecting anything in return. And that was hard for me because my love language is words of affirmations. I love words that he knows that. But when our pastor said, look to God, like that's where your faith increases. Because when you look to God to fulfill you, to give you that joy, whether it's through himself, your personal relationship with God. That's why I told you guys, I had to go to God, and I had to come to Jesus. I had to have a reality check within myself, because I was looking for things out of my husband and my children that they were not giving me. Right. Do it without expecting them to fill your cup back up, your emotional cup and things like that. Not saying,
because I'm going to say, not to cut you off,
go ahead,
it's like, don't expect them to fill you up, because sometimes the person doesn't know how. That is a big thing. Like love language. We love different ways. We expect things from our spouse in different ways. So that's what I'm saying. They're not in control of your happiness. You are. You have to have your relationship with God, where God is going to fulfill you. He's going to give you all the tools you need to make sure you're whole. Then you can say, okay, let me see what I need to do with my husband or with my wife and all that. But first, you got to be whole with yourself.
Right.
You have to have peace and happiness with yourself. Know who you are, what you want, and what you're looking for in your relationship, in your marriage. Because if you don't know who you are, then how can you expect them to know who you are and how to deal with you accordingly?
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. But one of the coolest things I realized and where we are now is if I'm chasing after God individually, guys, if I'm chasing after God and as Marcus is chasing after God, right? Then God is telling us to love him and then love our spouses, right? Love the hell out of each other. I got that from Pastor Derek. Pastor Derek told us to love the hell out of people. So you love them so much that all they can do is love you back. So if I'm chasing after God's heart, and if Marcus is chasing after God's heart, and all we are both focusing on is God, right? Then by default, we're going to fill each other's cups back up. Sure. And it happens so beautifully. It's almost like a beautiful dance, right? But when you're trying to force it, like, I'm loving you, I'm giving you this, I'm fulfilling your needs, all this, and you don't even tell me I'm beautiful. You don't even tell me you love me. You don't even hug me. You don't even do these things. You know, that's like when you're trying to force love, right? But if both of you guys are seeking God's face, and if I'm guarding his heart and he's guarding my heart, we're gonna fill each other's cup by default. Right? Yes, Lisa, love the hell out of these people. Gotta love the hell out of them. Let's see what else, guys. Another thing that I did to help reset my expectations and overcome the expectations of this modern day wife. I don't see how asking for what you need is for. No, Lisa, it's not ask. Of course, we want to communicate. Like, my husband's gift is he loves, his love language is gifting, right? And so I would be like, hey, I just want to spend some time. Like, we can just go sit at the park. We can just look in each other's eyes. I'm good. I'm Gucci. But he would shower me with gifts.
Sometimes you feel just because you've been with somebody, they know you. They right. don't. You have to literally sometimes verbally tell them, like, hey, I like hugs. I like to be kissed. Right. I want to be held. I want you to talk to me. I want to spend time with you. I want you to put down your phone, get away from the game, get away from golf or whatever it is you need to do and spend time with me. I'm your wife. I want to be invested in you. I need you to be invested in me. Men, sometimes we miss the bogey. You know, we don't pay attention to those type of things when it comes to our wives, and we have to do a better job of that. But for the woman, she needs to be intentional. She has to sit down and say, hey, look, babe, this is what I need from you. If you want us to be on the same page, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need. And I don't expect anything less than this.
Absolutely.
So
right. And in order for us to guard each other's hearts and to love each other, unconditionally without expecting anything in return, we got to communicate and know what each other wants, like Marcus just said. But guys, I'm telling you, we like Marcus said, we were in the same book, but we were not on the same page. One time Marcus bought me, how much was that bag?
I don't know what bag.
It was one of the bags. I think the bag was like,
I've bought multiple bags. Which one are you talking?
One of these beautiful bags Marcus brought me, guys. I want to say it was like, not to brag or boast, guys, but I want to say it was like $700 or $800. Beautiful black and red bag from one of my, favorite designers. And we got into a whole argument over the bag because his love language is gifting. Anybody knows Marcus, they know that he's such a giver. That's his love language, right? But I'm constantly giving him words of affirmation, like, oh, you're so amazing. You're so awesome. Oh my gosh. Because that's what I need. So we were communicating with each other. Correct. In each other's what?
It was more like, babe, here you go. I got that thing that you wanted. Remember, we had went to the store that one time.
Right.
You just like, you were just in awe about this bag, and I'm just over here looking like, oh yeah, she wants that. So I go get it, and then I bring it home. You don't even know it's gift wrap. You unwrap it, and you look at it, you're like, oh, it's the bag. Thanks.
But
so then I'm gonna be like, well, I mean,
Marcus got so mad at me, guys. But it was because it was like I was trying to express something else to him. Like, babe, I need you to fill my cup this way. Like, I'm appreciative of the bags, of the gifts, but this is how I need you to fill my cup.
Communication.
And it was because he was so focused on loving me through his love language instead of loving me through my own. And so again, as you're chasing God, you're going to see, okay, you're going to focus on loving them in their own love language instead of your own. Because if you're loving somebody in your own love language, then that's a little bit of selfishness on my part. Like for me, I didn't buy Marcus a lot of gifts at first. I mean, when I bought him a gift, I spent some money, but it wasn't the amount of gifts. Like the ratio wasn't even. And he would get frustrated, like, what's going on? And I'm like, I love you. Like, I show you I love you every day. I constantly tell you I love you. I constantly tell you how amazing you are. And where I messed up and where I had to go to God was that I was loving Marcus the way that I wanted to be loved instead of loving him the way that he wanted to be loved. I'm not saying that you have to buy extravagant gifts and things like that, but it's just the thought. Like if he says, oh, babe, look at this, and he shows me a shirt or something like that, for me to just make that note like he does with me when we're out, because that's what he wanted me to do. So sometimes your spouse is telling you how they want to be loved, right? We're just not paying attention because we're so focused on what we're not receiving individually, right? Very good. Like we're so focused on you not, okay, but we're gonna leave that there. Okay, so guys, we're gonna jump into the poll question of tonight.
What's the poll question?
The poll question of tonight is, it's about prayer, y'all. It's about prayer. The poll question of tonight is, how often do you pray for your spouse? And we did a survey. I'm not sure if I sent the picture in on time, but I have the numbers here. It was interesting. Well, I would say, yeah, it was pretty interesting. So the options for the poll for this week of how often do you pray for your wife? For your spouse. The options were never, occasionally, often, always, and daily. So I'm happy that nobody said never, because that would have been a little alarming, right?
No, there's always, room for improvement.
That is true. That is true. So somebody could be like, I'm not praying for that heifer. Let's see. And then what was another one? No, we had two answers that no one responded to. That was never and always. So the three categories that people voted on were occasionally, often, and daily.
And the most was occasionally.
Right. 66% of the people that took our poll this week said they pray for their spouse occasionally. 16%, what was even split, 16% said often and 16% said daily.
So I'm going to be honest with you, because the biggest portion of the pie was occasionally. I hate to say this, and don't take this the wrong way, guys. That means your relationship is casually.
You see what Lisa said? Pray for my next spouse often. I love it, Lisa. Yes, pray for him now before you even get here, so you already been happy. All right, keep going, babe.
No, I was just saying that the majority of the people were like, oh, I occasionally pray for my spouse. Well, that lets me know that your relationship or your marriage is just casually. And so you have to be intentional and on purpose with it. Because it's like, if you're praying for your spouse.
I love it, Lisa.
You're praying for their covering. You're praying for their protection. You're praying for their sanity, for their mind, for their happiness. So in return, if you're praying for them and they are building their self up, they're getting to where they need to, if they're aligning their self up with God, then in return, your relationship is going to be better. Your
That's
love
true.
is going to be better.
That's
Your
true.
conversation is going to be better. So that lets me, if you're not praying for your spouse, your relationship is not where it needs to be. I'm just going to be honest. And I'm not saying that me and my wife, we pray together every day because we need to do a better
We
job of
pray
that.
together
But we do
often
pray for our
together.
spouse every day. And that's
Oh Lord, Regina said she answered the question wrong.
so it's like that to me is a daily thing. It is not a casual thing. It's not an occasion thing. Or when I think about it to pray.
Right.
No, this is a daily thing. Because you're daily covering your spouse. You want them to be just protected at all times.
You're right. And guys, let me tell you, or ladies, let me tell you, this is just me. I don't know what it is about a praying man. Does anybody else love a praying man? It is something about a praying man that just, whoa. Now, I know women, we can pray all day, we can, but when a man steps in the room and when a man communicates to the Father, my. It's so amazing. I feel guilty because I think I'm even more attracted to my husband when he prays. When I see him having that intimate relationship with God, when I feel him covering me, spiritually, when I hear him praying over our children, when I hear him praying for our future, praying for our goals, when I hear him communicating with the Father, it's amazing. And he knows for years, I used to ask, he used to be like, what do you want? I'm like, I just want you to lead me spiritually.
Mm.
You remember me saying that all those years?
And fellas, that's a clue. If your wife can hear you and know you're praying for them, and they know that it's heartfelt, and you bring in just the God-fearing man out of you, things gonna get a little spicy.
I was like, let what you want for dinner? Like, what you want?
She gonna take it to the next level.
Like, what you want?
That's just a clue, a little hint there, fellas.
It made me want to go to a whole nother level because I'm like, if he is praying for me, if he is interceding for me, if he is doing those, if he thinks enough of me to go to take me to the Father, to cover me and these children in our house, our marriage, my. I'm like, let me do more. It honestly caused me to want to do more for you. Right? It caused me to want to level up in every area of being a wife.
And like I talked about last week, that's because you're under a man who's under God.
Right.
So when you have that, then you have that ability to be in your natural state of being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to give and be an overflow and a fountain of blessings for everybody.
Right.
But when you're not sitting underneath a man that is sitting underneath a God, there's a disconnect. You're not going to have harmony. You're not going to feel protected. You're not going to feel that. You know what I'm saying? So that's not going to cause you to hit that switch and be like, you know what? Let me cook a little extra for him. Let me put something aside for him. Oh, he likes that. Or let me just put this little outfit on. I know he really likes that.
Right.
You're going to be like, oh, he get on my nerves. I wish he'd leave. Don't touch me. Bye. So.
It's so true, guys. It's so true. So praying with your spouse can definitely strengthen your relationship. Praying with your spouse and for your spouse, it can definitely take things to a whole nother level. I know we don't have time to get into it tonight, but there were times in our marriage where I literally wrote a prayer. It was about a 2-page prayer. And I hung it on the wall of our closet because we were going through a very rough patch. And I would go into that closet and I would just pray. And I asked the Holy Spirit to write this prayer for me to be a better wife, for me to be a better woman for Marcus and these kids, for me to be a better sister. But mainly it was focused on my marriage and understanding my husband more because I felt like I was failing. Again, when we're trying to live up to this modern day expectations of this wife, this modern day wife, we can feel like we're failing every day. And that's how I felt. And so we'll tell you more about that when he discovered my prayer. And he was like, "You've been praying for me?" It it really surprised him. But we'll talk about more of that at another time. But guys, I think that it's our time is almost up with you guys tonight. So definitely, guys, I'm so excited that you tuned in with us tonight. Again, if you're watching on social media, definitely like and share. But babe, we got a couple more minutes. How did you feel? Because I know we were at a very rocky point in our marriage. How did you feel when you found that prayer of me just asking God for help to be a better wife and a woman for you?
Well, that definitely caused me to have a self-reflection moment. To be like, wow, my wife is actually going to God to pray for me, and she's really, one, she loves me enough to ask God about our relationship and about me. And it's causing me to be like, well, dang, am I doing the same for her like I'm supposed to? So it was definitely a ha-ha moment.
Uh-huh.
Aha moment. I say ha-ha. Aha moment. And I was like, man, I need to get in my prayer closet. I got to get it right. This cannot be. We're like two shifts passing in the night. We're arguing, fussing, things are not.
Yeah, because we were like almost about to just throw in the towel.
So, and believe me, guys, we've been through all phases of a marriage. It's just like, this right here is after work, after trials and tribulations,
over a decade of work,
and a lot of prayer, even counseling. And I'm a big advocate of counseling, especially for married couples. I think it does wonders to get your thoughts, your wants, your concerns, and have a neutral party, one that's not biased to either one of you guys, that you can sit down and talk to and really express. And I advise if you are Christian, a Christian counselor or therapist would help also. But I just wanted to say, before the time is over, my thing is communication is key, guys. To have a better marriage all the way across the board is communicate, to talk. Don't hold things in. Don't be quiet. Don't be reserved. This is your life. This is your livelihood. This is your marriage. This is forever. This is your life partner. So you have to be intentional with everything, from your conversation, from your walk, from your prayer, from everything. Be intentional about what you do.
Right.
So, don't be casual, because you will be a casualty.
I like that. So, babe, what advice would you give to a husband who may still have his blinders on to some of the struggles that his wife is going through with the kids, with coming home and having to clock in and do all, her wife and mommy duties? What advice would you give to husbands to actually open up their eyes and try to help their wives carry the load? How would you even give them advice on where to start?
Talk. Ask your wife, what does she need? What does she need help with? It's something pretty simple, and we don't do it. It's just asking, say, hey, babe, I see you're a little overwhelmed with something. And one that comes with paying attention. So you kind of have to step away from what you're doing to assess what's going on in the house, to see what your wife is doing on a day-to-day basis, and even get to that point of doing the things that she's having to do to alleviate the stress off of her. But it's just basically having conversation. One, first, paying attention to what's going on in your household. If your house is chaotic and stuff is up and down. And then if it is, then you need to get to the butt of the situation. Sit down and talk to your wife and say, hey, babe, I see you stressed out. I see you overwhelmed. What can I do to alleviate or help you in this process with the kids? Do you need me to cook every now and then? Maybe we could split up. I got Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. You got Tuesdays and Thursdays, vice versa, whatever you want to do. But you need to alleviate your wife's stress at any cost. She shouldn't be overwhelmed, because that's going to affect your relationship. And you're going to know. You have to be completely unplugged not to know your wife is overwhelmed and stressed. Like, you're going to feel that. She's going to bring it to you. You're going to have tension, and she's not going to like you. So you already going to know what the issue is. So just talk to her. Set her down. And I advise you guys, just real quick before we got to go, take your wife out. Wine and dine her. Take her away. Get her stressed. Get a babysitter. Get Nana, grandma, a babysitter to watch the kids. Take your wife to the finest restaurants. Let her get dolled up, pretty up, all that kind of stuff. Make her feel confident and beautiful, and take her somewhere and tell her, say, hey, let's work this thing out. What can I do to help you?
Oh, I love that. I love that. And ladies, last thing I would say is to receive whatever he's giving you. If he's willing to help, to help, willing to help carry that load, allow him to help you carry that load with his strengths, right? Like Marcus is a great planner. So some of the things he yeah, when it comes to the kids, right? Because Marcus got after school workouts printed for the kids so that, you know, on days that they don't have homework, they already know, go in this drawer. Daddy has a folder with my name on it. It's labeled. It's ready to go. You know, so right now we really just play to each other's strengths, and it's really helping. So don't set false expectations on each other. Again, go to God. Take all the expectations of culture out of it, and you guys figure out a plan that works for you so that you don't have to fight the battle of living up to these expectations of the modern day wife in the culture that we live in. All right, guys, I think our time is up. So I hope that you enjoyed tonight's session. I know that I did. I pray that it helped somebody. Thankful that my boo made it in time to spend some time with me on with you guys tonight. So grace and peace to everybody. Hope you have an amazing week, and we will see you next week. Anything else?
Never settle. Take it to the next level.
Bye.
Are you looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle but have less than perfect credit? Look no further than Mi Amigo Motors, offering in-house financing to help you build or reestablish your credit. All vehicles are put through a multi-point inspection, and their award-winning customer service and on-site service center will make your buying experience stress-free. I know you got your stimulus check and it's tax refund season, so stop by Mi Amigo Motors today at 9729 Long Point Road or give them a call at 832-548-5927 to reserve your appointment for their VIP approval. Again, that's 832-548-5927. And don't forget to mention Stunner Radio sent you.